Welcome, wonderful people of the internet. This is the Lazy Piece of Shit podcast. Here, we like to talk about all the awkward and uncomfortable things you might be thinking but are too embarrassed to say. My name is Dan, and I am cordially inviting you to witness me making a fool of myself with each week's new episode. But for now, get comfortable, grab a drink, and let's get into it. Hello, wonderful people of the internet. We are back here. It's Friday, so that means another episode of the Lazy Piece of Shit podcast. I know you were all probably waiting patiently all week for this moment, so, here it is. I have a wonderful guest who has decided to return and hang out with me today. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, it's Lindsay again. I'm a celebrity basically on here now. I had the most views on the Facebook one, so I feel like I'm pretty cool.
She is acting like a celebrity. Yeah. She's down here with her sunglasses on because she forgot her other ones, and
they're prescription. Yes, it's okay. Well, it's not douchey. She needs to see the notes apparently,
and God forbid she's asked for all these crazy things too. So we'll see how this goes. Yeah, her assistant called me earlier today. It was very weird. I'm just kidding. It was just her daughter. So awkward. Other than that, I just wanted to have Lyns back on because we did get some pretty good feedback on our episode, especially the people loved Blockbuster. I had a few people message me being like they miss Blockbuster, and if it was still around, it'd do well. I think so too, but hey, I'm pretty biased when it comes to that. Other than that, I am super happy to have Lyns here because we are going to get a little bit serious on today's episode, so I do apologize in advance for that. But I feel like we've kind of gotten to know each other well enough over these last couple episodes that it's time we kind of jump into some of the more serious topics that we're facing, and with us kind of getting out of this pandemic and trying to take care of ourselves physically, we also have to make sure we're taking care of ourselves mentally. So we are going to discuss mental health and how we can kind of take care of that going forward in our struggles and maybe also our stories when it comes to that. It's going to be pretty authentic, pretty real. Going to try our best to keep it light, but it is kind of a dark topic, so bear with us, and hopefully, if anything, someone can take something from it or know that it's not just.
I think us two can keep it light enough that it's that when we make jokes, they're jokes about our personal experiences and nowhere near about a joke about mental health, but it's just how we choose to deal with it and how we cope exactly. And we're not experts on it, but it's what we're doing to kind of.
It's what we've dealt with, our personal experiences, and we're putting it out there just to, again, at the end of the day, we want to get rid of the stigma around talking about mental health, especially for 100%. Men and anyone in general. And, we want it to be a point in society where it's no longer uncomfortable. It's just like an everyday thing. Like you're just chatting with your friend and all of a sudden, oh yeah, I'm feeling like trash, this. And, there's no, hesitation. There's no, judgment. There's no odd looks from people. And I think the more we talk about it and the more we bring out those hard topics, the easier it's going to be. So that's where we are today.
I like that. And I think that, when you talk about mental health, that doesn't have to necessarily be that mental health means, oh, you've got schizophrenia or something to such a huge degree of, a level of, up to 10, you're like, no, there's varying degrees.
Yes, absolutely.
Just, when you say, oh, I'm struggling with my mental health this week, it doesn't have to mean that you are struggling with something so, serious. It just means that, mental health, I think, has such a broad spectrum now, and it's easy to sit there and go, oh, that girl said mental health. That means she's crazy, or that means she's got a disease or something. And it could be, no, you're just struggling that day in that particular moment with something mentally. And I think that's where people sometimes think mental health means
to
something,
a certain degree.
Exactly, and it's or something medical or something medicated, and you're like, it doesn't necessarily have to be that way.
I think that's absolutely right, and I think the big thing to remember when it comes to talking about mental health is that it's not a competition. Who's better, who's worse. It's just being able to confidently represent yourself when it comes to who you are as a person, and I think everybody at some point does struggle with mental health, and from my personal experiences, the sooner you talk about it, the better you get it out there, the better person you're going to be. So that's kind of what you have to look forward to.
Yeah.
But obviously we're going to need some drinks for this kind of discussion. So this week we are, back from Nova Scotia. We are back here in Ontario. We are very local. We are having some of a new brewery that opened up in Keswick called Turkey Shoot. They have a bunch of different beers, obviously. They are a brewery, but we have the Lake Simcoe Lager here. So let's open these up and give them a sip.
It's good.
It's not bad, actually.
Yeah, I'm always leery about craft beers because I always sometimes think they're going to be too one way or the other. So I'm just afraid that you're going to take that sip and go,
oh, and then you say it's very hoppy. Yeah, lots of hops.
And you try to make exactly. You try to sound cool, or that you know what, like it's like drinking wine. Like, this is very nutty or something, and you make up something off the top of your head because you're crazy. Exactly. Wink. But no, it's good.
Yeah, no, it's not bad. We've been meeting to, as I said, we do live pretty local to Keswick, so I have been meaning to get there to check out their patio and all that kind of fun stuff. And they are a local small business, so always exciting and fun to support them. But the weather has been absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, so
I am looking forward to heading there and trying a flight. They have a bunch of different beers. They have like a seasonal blueberry.
Yeah, she was telling us about that when she was in the store.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool, and I'm looking forward to it. As I said, Keswick's first brewery, and right now I'm pretty impressed with this lager.
For sure.
I'm looking forward to popping by there and seeing what they have to offer. So we have our drink set up, so that's a plus there. So let's kind of move along here. We're trying to move through this stuff
because drinking and
quick.
Mental health are what go together.
Oh well.
Gotta start somewhere, right?
Yes, exactly.
Again, we're not experts, but
yeah, we are not. Experts.
If I make these jokes, please don't come for me.
Yeah, no, it's how we deal with life.
Exactly, it's how we deal. If anybody knows me, it's how we cope with grief, with some of the worst things and worst times of your life. If you can't laugh, you're crying, and
you're laughing and crying.
Yeah, some people they'll see my posts on Facebook and be like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah,
and you're like, "Yeah, 100%. Why? What's wrong? You made a dead joke or a joke about your dead mom." I'm like, "Yeah, I did." What, you didn't think was funny? Like, she would have.
Yeah. See, and that's just, it's how people cope, right? People grieve differently, and we'll discuss all that coming up. But we're going to get right into our random thoughts this week. Going to keep it short and sweet with the random thoughts and the fitness update, just because, as I said, we do have a lot to talk about when it comes to the other mental health stuff. So, as I said, we have had a day today when it comes to our area, at least. We've had tornado warnings. We had a tornado touchdown in Barrie, which is just across the lake there. Thunderstorms, severe thunderstorms all day. So pretty much podcasting to the extreme right now because we have no idea if we're going to even have power. But,
the rain has just been crazy the last week. Not even just today, but the last week. And like our boat, we could barely get through the tunnel where we have to go out into the lake.
Jesus, yeah.
Oh, yeah. He had to put it in neutral and kind of pull himself through because we couldn't drive through because it was so close on both sides.
Jesus.
That we were just
Thursday we had a crazy downpour and we were out on bus.
When you texted me, I was dying. I'm like,
that must have been... need the boat to pick us up.
Have you seen that video of the guy eating his meal in the rain? That's exactly what it reminded me of.
Well, I was with Rita and a couple of our other friends, and it was great. We were having a good time, so we didn't really care too much. It's just rain, right? And I was like, if I had my car there, I would have taken my empty beer because I would have kept the full one at the table, and I would have went and sat in there and just they could take a video and just kind of be like anything for that patio beer. But I didn't drive and I didn't want to ruin anybody's car, so Other than that, fitness update. Oh, actually, sorry, just kidding. Random thought. Yeah, tornadoes, craziness. Ontario's moving to stage 3 today, which is exciting, so we'll celebrate that.
Yeah, taking down the 10 people at a time in the store and not having to worry about counting bodies and just locking the door.
Yeah, and then we have movie theaters open back up. I'm so excited. I will be at the theater all weekend.
See, you know what's funny? I'm excited because I can finally take my daughter to the casino.
That's
like it opens on ours. I think the Ram opens on the 29th and Niagara's on the 25th or something. They're not quite opening this weekend, but
they're coming.
Exactly, and because when she turned 19 during COVID and she turned 20 during COVID, so 2 of the kind of last year of the teens are finally legal. So we're going to sit there and make sure that she goes to a Rama and we'll turn her into a gambling at that.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, she can just do it right on her phone now. So,
right?
Better watch out. Monitor her data. I'm super excited because concerts are happening again. Mm-hmm. Budweiser Stage has a bunch of, I think they're mostly all, I would assume, Canadian acts. The Arkells, Sam Roberts Band, Blue Rodeo. I'm hoping for...
Oh, I know who that one is.
Do you? Nice. Good call. Jesus, you're really aging yourself here, kid.
Yep. True that, yeah.
And I'm looking forward to. I'm hoping they do like a country like Dallas Smith, Dean Brody kind of situation because I'd go see that for sure. But I'm also contemplating going to see any of them.
Well, I saw that because with the border slowly lifting restrictions, I'm really hoping that the 21st that maybe because now I'm fully vaxxed that will be a perk to being able to travel and cross the border, and I'll be able to go to a Steel Panther concert super soon. Something close because there's got some in Pennsylvania and like closer to the border, and I'm just like it's like they're teasing me.
Yeah, that's my plan. I'll be fully vaxxed by the end of the month, and then I'm finding something and just
whether even if you don't like it, you're just like I'm going.
Yeah, I don't care. End up like a freaking it'll be fun though. So yes, now we can move into the fitness update. So if you've been listening, you know that I've been struggling for the last couple episodes just to stay motivated with everything, and I feel like when it's going to happen. So for the first couple weeks of July with patios getting back open and that kind of stuff, decided just to give myself a break. I've kept up with working out, except last week I took a full break off from everything. Maddie was busy. I just wasn't feeling it. So I just said, you know what? Instead of putting all this extra pressure on myself, I'm just going to take a break, enjoy, and have some fun. And same thing with like patios being open.
Yep.
You know, I haven't had patios, haven't seen some friends for months. I'm going to go out, I'm going to enjoy. So I gave the first couple of weeks of July a little bit of a break. I'm back to working out this week, which is lovely because I did miss it. Got a couple of new additions to the old gym, which is lovely. But other than that, you know, it's just been rough. I don't know. How are you doing?
No, I've been good. I got my huge water bottle here that
yes.
I've been using it as like it's, you know, those, as lame as they kind of sound, like some of those gimmicky things. I didn't put like names on it or anything like that. I'm waiting to, my girlfriend's going to make me one that says like, drink that water, bitch, and like more like dirtier ones, like funnier ones, exactly, that don't just like, you got this, girl, because that doesn't work for me, but something that's funny, like if I can get to that, it'd be make me laugh.
Yeah.
So getting that water in, I've been drinking one small coffee in the morning before I go to work, and then drinking green tea all the rest of the day, because I know that the water's a big one for me. And I didn't put on any weight, and I did lose almost 2 pounds, you know, last week. So I'm starting to get back the weight off that I put on, you know, when we were locked down, when we were doing curbside and unable to do anything. So I'm stoked about it.
Just watching Criminal or Outlander all day at work.
No, yeah, exactly. That puts it on. But, you know, Criminal Minds ain't going to watch itself. I'm
Absolutely.
on season 9 now.
I had to drag you away from that to get you down here.
Oh my God,
so
I'm like, season 9. I'm like, oh,
you're on season 9?
9.
Oh, wow. That's disgusting. I mean, I did like power through like 7 seasons of Below Deck in the last 2 weeks. So, I mean, I'm not any better. So
yeah, but I just did the thing, I'm like, why am I so far in this?
Yeah. But it's a great show. I love it.
Surely I missed one.
Yeah, no. And yeah, for myself, as I said, I'm so proud of you. That's fantastic.
Thanks.
I'm happy you're still keeping it going. I gotta get refocused, and you know, sometimes for myself, it's just almost best to listen to your body a little bit instead of trying to push through and just making a small issue into a larger issue. So that's what I've done. I kind of started getting back into working out this week. Next week, I'm going to focus on starting to run. So if you see me, don't judge me.
Well, the weather's been really bad. We can't even get out and get out in the sun and do anything, because even though it's sunny sort of 5 minutes right now, it was pouring 5 seconds ago.
Well, if you follow the lazy piece of shit Instagram, I literally put out something being like, left my walk till after lunch, and now it's Harry Potter from, you know, Harry Potter clouds out there. So I was like, well, it's just rough. So, you know, weather's been against me. You know, I'm not trying to make excuses, but they are excuses. And, you know, at the end of the day, I
always like to think there's a difference between an excuse and a reason, because an excuse is something like you make up almost to sit there and not do something. A reason, like, I'm not going to go walking in the rain, especially because it's not even a drizzle. This is like a torrential downpour up to my shins.
Maybe I'll canoe.
I'm not going to ruin shoes or something like that to go out for a walk and then just be miserable when I get back. It's not comfortable. It's not logical. That's different. But, you know, why didn't I use the exercise bike at home? Now I would make up an excuse saying I don't want to. Well, the thing is, I just say I don't want to.
Yes,
I just didn't.
And that's, you know, at the end of the day, I understand this is going to put me back a little bit, but I'm not planning, or I'm not expecting to be fit and ripped next week. You know, it is gonna be what it is, and it's gonna be a lifestyle change for me. So that's where we are. So you know, I'm happy that you're kicking it and still going.
Honestly, I'm happy with. The thing is, you're on the right path. You said you are working. You're still working out. That's something you weren't doing before. That's a win, and
I've
take it as
increased
a win.
3 times a week. So
exactly.
You know?
So exactly. There you go. That's a
progress.
Win.
Yeah, I just pointed that out. Good
exactly.
work.
See, you thought you had no wins.
I've earned this beer here.
Exactly. Look, there's no nutritional label on it, so I'm going to assume that it's good for
0
me.
calories.
0 calories.
Perfect. Thank you.
Well, it's got a price tag. Is it free?
Oh, I hate that. Good Lord. All right, so we're going to kind of jump right into the main topic today, which is taking care of your mental health. And as we kind of have mentioned earlier, with us kind of coming out of probably one of the hardest times.
You probably saw a surge in mental health with everybody, where everybody started to see it in themselves and in others. So,
and you know, it's going to be important to make sure you're taking care of yourself, making sure if there are awkward and uncomfortable conversations to be had with loved ones, friends, family, that you can do it, and it's going to be fine. Things, you know, you're not going to get struck down by lightning or anything like that. You'll survive. But first off, I do just want to reiterate that by no means are me or Lindsay professionals in this sense at all. We are just here to offer what has worked for us. We're going to share our stories, and hopefully we can remove the stigma around, you know, mental health, and hoping to, as I said earlier, at one point, society's moved to a point where it's not uncomfortable. You don't get any judgment. You don't get any weird looks. You're just chatting with a friend, and your mental health comes up, and it's just a normal thing. So that's kind of where we're hoping to go for at some point.
That's what I like, that because it's just, again, I don't want anyone to ever feel like, oh, I couldn't mention that to Lindsay. She'll judge me, or she'll make me feel bad, because it's not something I would ever do, or not everybody, you know. seeing it in my family growing up and seeing it in my household now, I would never want anyone to look at them the way that somebody would feel that I would say about them. And I don't want anyone to ever feel like they can shame in it.
Or,
exactly. Or say or feel like, oh God, I wish I could tell her this, but I can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely not.
And I am, I am very excited to have Lyns here because to discuss this topic, because as I said, we were talking about it the other day, and you will have known each other for 10 plus years. You've seen me at my worst, to more than 10 years, 12 now. Yeah, as you've seen me at my worst, you've seen me at my best, and now you've kind of seen me on this journey that I'm kind of working towards to be better than I was when I was my best. So I'm very happy to have you here because you've been a pretty big part of, me trying to get back on the right track. So I can't ever thank you enough.
Thank you.
you are will always hold a special part.
Here for you, always.
Special part of my heart.
Always. Like thanks. That's so nice. You're gonna make me cry.
Oh well, give your sunglasses on. I can't see.
Yeah, that's why I wore them. 100%,
perfect. Now it all makes sense. Now it all makes sense. I also do want to just thank, like, from the bottom of my heart, like, my friends and family who have stuck around me over these last couple years. I know things could not have been easy by any means. So I do thank you guys so much. And without them, I have no idea where I'd be. It's never really easy realizing you're being an asshole. And even worse in the sense when you can't really justify or understand why you're acting a certain way. So yeah, it's been a journey, that's for sure. And I'm, as I said, happy to be kind of maybe on the other side of it or working towards the other side. So yeah.
Oh, you're definitely on the other side of it, or you're more to the other side than you were to that side, because watching, I think, and from somebody who saw it from the other side, it's really hard to tell somebody they're being an asshole, especially when you know they're going through something that is beyond their control in every aspect of the word. So it's really hard to sit there and go, how do I tell Danny's being an asshole?
Yeah.
When he has every right to be an asshole.
For sure.
And it's really hard to sit there and bring it up, but it's one of those things that I was just like, I can't not talk to him about this because I got to pull that Band-Aid off and let him know, because I don't think he knows it.
No, exactly. So yeah, so to understand kind of maybe where I'm coming from or what I've been through, again, I'm not looking for sympathy or anything like that. I'm just sharing my experiences and what I've gone through over the last couple of years in hopes that maybe if it helps one person, then, we're on the right path there. So I'm going to share some pretty personal experiences and stuff with you all. And at the end of the day, those experiences have shaped who I am and helped me grow. And I've learned a lot. So I am pretty excited to be able to now be able to start putting that stuff into becoming a better person. So let's kind of just kick it off with when you were growing up, more or less, because as I said, you are a little bit older than me. Was mental health a big kind of thing for you? Was there as big of a push as we have now, more or less?
Definitely not, because I grew up, I was, obviously I'm born in the late 79, and in the 80s it wasn't nothing was talked about. Mental health was like, even in the 90s, it was more like mental health was you're crazy, or you're schizophrenic, or you're something like you've got bipolar, you're whatever. And it wasn't something that was everybody had, or everybody had some sort of version of, or you could admit to having, because it was very taboo. But in my family, my sister, who has graciously let me, kind of mention it, has dealt with it her whole life. Mm-hmm. And my mom always took it incredibly seriously. And it was one of those things that obviously you don't see it until they're like teens, when they can sort of be more vocal about it and everything. And my mom saw some things that she didn't like and was scared about. My sister was very upfront with it, and my mom took her, and it was one of those things like, let's get you talking to somebody, let's get you to somebody. And so grateful to have a parent to sit there and take it seriously. And it was one of those things that, as there's 4 years between us, so I never saw it that way, because she was in my head, the things that she was going through were very private to her, so she didn't share them with me, because I'm the older sister, I'm going to make fun of her, or I'm going to be mean to her, or whatever. So it's
you gotta be guarded. You're guarded, right?
And exactly, and my mom would never tell us, which was great, because she didn't, she kept that between, the trust was always there. And to be honest, I'm not sure if she went to my dad the same way. I'm sure she did, or my mom and my dad would speak about it, but it was more comfortable going to mom, like, of course, girl to girl type thing. And moms are that, you've got that role, and just seeing it my whole life, I think it's why I've always been sort of open to it that way, and never been a judgmental person when it comes to mental health, because I've always seen it. And then, with my sister, just knowing, like, watching somebody struggle with, a lot of different things that you can easily get bullied for, was just very hard. So it was one of those things that I could never judge anybody if I saw it, or what I thought was like, hey, this is something I think that my sister's going through or went through. And when I see it in my house now, with my daughter, just seeing her struggle with it and go, feel less than or anything like that, come to me and it's okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I, do
Safe
I wish
space.
exactly. And do I wish, when Shelby would come to me when she was younger and go, this is what's happening, when I thought, oh, maybe you'll grow out of it a little bit because you're very young. I wish, now I'd gone, and done something, taken her to somebody else, then it would have been great to, in my own head go, oh, she'll grow out of it. Or, maybe it's something else. Like, I don't recognize this as something else. Well, I'm not a doctor. I should have listened to her and, I wish I'd gone back. But, everything is, she's getting much better. Everything is, kind of going up on the hill. And I think we're working through it and it's great. And, it's I'm really proud of her and I'm really proud of my sister. And I'm, it's nice to see
them working on themselves
and very talking about it and very vocal about it and not using it as a crutch, but using it as a way to say, hey, I'm having a bad day mentally and I need you to understand, and us go, okay, no problem. Go do you.
If you need something, let us know.
Exactly. Not
awesome.
To go, look, what can I do to help you? Just get over it.
Yeah, no, get over it.
That's the worst thing to say to
for that.
Yeah, hashtag get over it.
Yeah, so that's very interesting because as I said, growing up with it, I was just trying to think for myself. I don't really remember much, like especially when I was in high school, elementary, nothing like that. I remember getting to university and it was kind of around, nothing like it is now, which I think is fantastic. You have so many big movements, so many powerful companies and people bringing light to it, and kind of just again trying to remove that stigma and say, you know what, you're having a bad day, it's okay. If it's more than that, it's also okay. The whole spectrum is safe, and to talk about it, you shouldn't feel judged and you should be accepted. So I'm kind of super excited about that. As I mentioned with Rita a few times, we're in a very odd age group where we grew up and we didn't really talk about our feelings. I've always kind of been very connected with my emotions. My mom's very emotional, so I kind of I relate to her a lot, so I do get that from her. But we were always kind of taught just to more or less push it down, keep pushing through, put your head down, you'll get through it, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Which I mean, for me has worked. Most of my life, late teens, early 20s, I don't really remember anything too bad. A couple times where you get down, and again, I would just put my head down and kind of get through it, and it'd be all right. But then that made things a little bit more difficult for myself when I needed help, because, there's that stigma, right? I'm less of a man, I'm less of a son, I'm less of a brother.
I think you're
friend,
right when it comes to men, like when men, I need to be strong, which means mentally as well. Like I need to be this, this rock for people. And it's just, you can't be a rock if there's a crack in it. You know what I mean? That could easily split type thing like that. I gotta make a t-shirt.
Yep.
But it's just, you can't be strong if there's, cracks in the foundation type thing. You just can't do it. And there's nothing wrong with it. And I think that all men need to.
And as you kind of, if you don't fill the crack, and you just gonna it's just gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
Exactly.
Until the rock falls apart.
Exactly. Crumbles.
Beautiful. I hope we're painting a picture in your guys' head right now. Just amazing.
We're so philosophical.
So yeah, as I was mentioning, for the most part, I had a pretty carefree upbringing. I was blessed to have an amazing family. It was fantastic. I had a very interesting high school experience in the sense that we were in a very odd high school. Our high school was grades 7 to 12.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
just to get more people in there, which was cool. So I ended up being in there in grade 8. So I was already we were already kind of into that like high school atmosphere. We had a very small graduating class. There was like 70 of us, so everyone was very kind of close, and everyone got along, which was nice.
40.
What?
I had like 40 in mine, I think.
Oh, really? Okay. Well,
yeah.
Geez, maybe I was wrong. Well, that's also
back when I was in school.
But yeah, no, and that was a small town, small town school. I did have a little bit of some issues like in grade 6 and 7. There was some dark times, but I mean, I got through it. It made me stronger. That's when I found gaming. That's how, it sounds kind of cliche, but gaming saved my life. And I know that's pretty dramatic to say, but
Absolutely
just at that
not.
age group, you're so young, and like, that's when kind of the whole, I have a big issue with having a lot of girlfriends. People always just assume I'm gay, and that's kind of something that's really kind of bothered me for most of my life, and that's kind of where it all started. And at that age, it's so hard to deal with. You don't understand why these people who you've known your whole life pretty much, why they all of a sudden are like coming at you this way. And at the end of the day, the people who did kind of were like the culprits behind it were some of my closest friends. We did talk about it, and it was just one of those things where it was hit or be hit, you know what I mean? And that's it's such a shitty situation, but that's kind of life and those age groups, right? So at the end of the day, I'm super thankful I got through it. I'm super thankful I did find gaming, as I have a group of guys that I've gamed with since I was 14. So it's amazing. One of them's getting married. We're going down to the wedding. So it's just one of those things. And it's a very odd place, but as I said, it was a place where I could escape to, a place where you could get stuff done. You know, you have quests and, you know, you get new gear, and it sounds super nerdy, but I was accomplishing stuff where maybe in the real world it was a little more difficult. These people I game with, they didn't care that I had a bunch of girlfriends. They didn't care what I looked like. They didn't care about anything. They just, you know, you're around, you're helping.
Just care that you were good at the game.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I wasn't even that good, so sucks to them, right? So you know, I got through that, and that's kind of like the hardest stuff I had to deal with. And then that did kind of shape me, if you will. I did grow a lot from it. I learned to kind of get that thicker skin. I did kind of start with the self-deprecating humor, and humor in general, just to kind of, you know, laugh it off. If everyone's laughing, then it doesn't maybe hurt as much.
100%. I feel the same way, because like it's growing up. It's funny that high school can be like, when they say high school is the best years of your life, I think that's what the pretty people say,
yeah,
and like the popular people say that they don't. And the thing is, and I'm not gonna sit there and like go back and go, oh, I was this hideous monster or something, but I always had friends that were really popular with the boys, and I wasn't, and I was always feeling like, well, what's wrong with me? And it was very much a self-esteem thing for me. Like that way, and I always look back at it now thinking like, oh, you were actually pretty depressed.
Yeah.
Because you just didn't feel pretty. Like, how come boys don't like me? And now I look back at it and go, that's fine. Yeah. You know, don't worry. Like, what do you care? Like,
you know, you're not transitioning. You're going through, you know, all these different things. Your hormones are just.
And you see, the thing is, and when you see what other people are doing, you go, why isn't that me? It's, well, because they're not you.
Well, and TV wish is terrible back then. Not, you know.
Oh my God. Like, and then you're watching these romantic comedies and you're like, well, why? Yeah. That's not real. Yeah. But when you're younger, you're like, well, look at these.
You know, these people are banging all the time. And,
and they're like, look at, she's the nerd, or she's not that hot. And she's got boys, you know, want her and stuff like that. And you're just like.
Unrealistic expectations.
Exactly. And I think, I wish I could go back and tell myself, like, how my life was going to be now, so I didn't have to be so sad then and like down on myself and going, you know what, it's okay, like, oh, you're beautiful, and you know, like, and just like kind of do that whole thing and go, don't worry, you're going to find, you know, the love of your life, and you're going to have this great life. Don't worry about right now. Change your life for the better. And I'm like, oh man, that's amazing. But like, I would wish I could tell myself then, you know, so that I wouldn't be so sad then about something that was so trivial. Absolutely trivial, and absolutely has no, you know, lasting effect going into now, because I haven't thought about that side of it in a really long time, because it didn't bother me. Now I'm like, well, that was stupid to be worried about that, right? So, and it's funny, like, and it didn't help me the other day when I showed Evan picture, like when he was like, I'm like, because I always, people say that Shelby looks like me, and I don't think that, right? I think that she looks like her dad. And I showed Evan pictures of me in high school, and he literally looks at me, he's like, you glowed up, huh? And I was like, wow, like rude, like, were you saying I'm ugly? He goes, I mean, you look better now. And I was like, okay, thanks. And I was just like, you know, I just felt really beautiful in that moment, because he just was like, you were so gross then, Mom. Look at you now. And I'm like, yikes. Thanks. And I just went upstairs and was like, I don't know if that was complimentary or not, but thanks, Evan. Like, and then it made, like, honestly, that was his way of saying, like, I love you. Yeah. I love you. And like, I think you're pretty. And I was just like, oh, thanks, buddy. And I think it's like, it's so weird when you think about how bad you felt in your own skin then, and you feel how good I feel in it now, heavier and older and stuff like that, but I feel better about the way I look now than I ever did then. And now we've all grown, that's exactly, right? And you realize how stupid, the absolute stupidity and the absolute, like, the worthlessness of needing other people to desire you in some way.
For sure. And like, and again, that's not like to take away from people. If there are people listening who are struggling through high school, it literally is so cliche to say, but it does get better. You have to just get through. I couldn't even imagine going to school now with like Instagram, TikTok. You know what I mean? Like, at least
I couldn't imagine.
At least we could, you know, if you're having a shit day at school, you'd leave. I mean, we had like MSN Messenger, but
there wasn't online bullying. There wasn't.
You just don't log in and then you're good, right?
There wasn't, somebody take a picture of you and it could be up there and seen by millions.
So I could never understand that side of it. And I do sympathize with people that way. That's one of the big reasons I'm like, I don't want to bring kids into this world, because I would just feel so bad. 100%. But I do, as I said, I firmly stand behind the fact that, you know, high school is, you just got to survive. Your best years are a lot later in life.
100%. Like,
university was so much better for me.
You're struggling now. It gets better 100%, because speaking from somebody who wasn't, you know, one of the super popular girls, or one of the girls that got all the boys, or anything like that, or who could have anybody she wanted type of feel, it gets better. And like, you find that, you know, anybody, and you find that life, and you find your niche, and you find something. You find your people. High exactly. School,
you have such a small group of people who you've known probably your whole life,
see every day.
And you know, and you try to, you know, turn into this person that you want to be, and you're getting crap from them, and it's like, shut up. And then you finally go to university, college, or you head, you know, to
work
a job
or somewhere, exactly.
And then it's just so much easier to find a group of people. I'd say one of the positives of social media is it is so much easier to find that niche, that people who are like you, and then you can kind of stick together and help each other out, which is fantastic. But yes, push through. I promise it will get better. But that's also one of the, I guess, the side effects of like self-deprecating humor and that kind of stuff is that I do have like, I'm very hard on myself. I, not very much self-love. That's something I'm working on almost every day now. I can't take a compliment very well, things
That's
like that.
for
Like
sure.
someone's like, oh, you're doing it. And I'm like, well, you're talking to me. Like, it's just, it's just, for a long time, I've used self-deprecating humor to get through awkward situations. How the whole thing was, I'll hit first, and then that way they can't hurt me with it because I've already hurt I've already made everyone laugh about it, so
own
it's,
it.
yeah, exactly. I own it and kind of move on. So it is kind of a shitty coping mechanism, I guess you could use, but
there are worse.
Yeah, there are
far worse out there than that.
Worse,
and I think you're doing a great job, especially with like what you said with people making assumptions about anything, and it's just okay. I'm gonna you want to say that about me. I don't care that you think that because I know the truth about me and I know what's going on and my friends know me. So what you think about me matters absolutely not. And I think that's such a huge thing to overcome, especially when you're younger. And to own early is go, I don't care what you think about me. And mean it. Yes. Not just say it, but mean it and go, okay, cool. I think I know better.
You said you wanted to go back and kind of talk to your high school self. I don't think I would, only because, I know some parts got pretty dark for myself, but it was kind of that big moment for me that kind of started me on the journey that I am, that I am today, made me the person I am, is the foundation, if you will, right?
And I love that it's so different because our experiences were just different. That we obviously just age and where we were in gender. And it's just one of those things that what my problems were different than yours. So it's perfect that I would go back and say this because just so you're not so sad all the time, you go, I needed this to make me where I am today. And I think that's great.
Absolutely. Because I would never be able to put myself in your shoes. And I think vice versa.
For sure.
I wouldn't wear sunglasses inside, but that's just a decision you've made.
And I wouldn't try to grow a mullet if I was you, right?
I can't wait to go tomorrow to get it all ready and just primed up. So beauty.
What?
I'll make sure to post
motto, I guess.
But yeah, and high school was fun. Right after high school, I met kind of that tight-knit group of friends that I have now, and they just were amazing. They accepted me for who I was. Never really any issues there. So I am so thankful that I kind of got through that and met them. So
I said I love my high school friends, and I think I still am friends with a lot of them, right? And I think that sometimes people think that a lot of friends means something. I'm like, it's okay to have a small core group of friends that are your people, and that's great. And the thing is, and nobody was ever mean to me in high school. And I want to reiterate that in case anybody listening from my high school thinks like I thought that I don't think anybody was particularly mean or anything like that. It was just the way that I felt in myself, the way I perceived my life to be in that moment, looking back on it now. And
we're all angsty teens back then, and everything was the end of the world.
Grunge,
but yeah, no, it is. I do think everyone goes through some sort of
I think they all
moment in high school, especially when the emotions and the hormones are just kind of running rampant through your body, and it's hard to deal. So, as I said, stick through it. I promise things will get better. I've always been a little bit more, I've always been a little bit like more of an extrovert. So I did have a lot of, as you said, a lot of acquaintances, not a lot of, I had a small tight knit of friends, I'd go out to the bar and small town, especially too, we'd know everybody.
And I feel like somebody looking from the outside would never think that you had any issues of any kind because you were so out there. Like when I first met you, I would never have thought that you had it rough in any way.
Yeah.
But then getting to you better, I can see what somebody would see and then go, I can see how that would be rough.
Yeah.
I could see that somebody making fun or, making things would put you in a place where it wouldn't feel
being
good.
Called gay, it's like, Jesus, people, give me a break.
Exactly. And using it in a derogatory sense, like it was some sort of
like a joke,
Exactly. Some sort of negative thing about you. Like, even if you were like, who cares? Like, obviously shut up about it, but I'm not. So just can you not bring it up anymore?
It's just one of those things where if it's from a random person, I don't give a shit. But those kind of coming from people you've known for, you're like, what? Oh, whoa. Like, what's going on?
Like, why would you say that when you know that that's not something that's just as being malicious, right?
Yeah. So, But as I said, we put that to bed. The people who did it, we've talked to them, and they didn't even know too, right? They didn't know the extent of it. They apologized and they were so sorry. So, as I said, and as you get older, you can have those conversations, and kind of, it did come up one night when we were all drinking, but hey, it worked out well, and I still do talk to most of those people, so it's not like it's
awesome.
I've kind of cut, they didn't know what they were doing, and I at that age didn't tell them,
of course,
and it is what it is, right? So yeah, so as I said, early 20s were great, carefree, drinking, having fun. Being stupid.
I was having babies.
Yeah, exactly. With your house. Like, oh my God, imagine having your own house. Crazy.
God, that's so cool.
But yeah, so this is kind of where things take a turn. So I do kind of just want to not prepare anybody for anything. It's not terrible, but it's just like, it was
it's
a very
the trigger. That's what it is. It's
it's
the
a trigger. You know, it was a very rough point, and this is kind of where things, I would say, started falling apart, and I had to kind of figure myself out because, you know, things were getting a little crazy. So about 4 years ago, 4 years in August, I lost my little sister. She struggled with addiction. So it was kind of, and if you do have anybody in your family who struggles with addiction, or you kind of have friends, maybe not so much friends, but for myself, there was a 7-year age difference between me and my sister. So it was very different, right? She grew up in a very different time. Addiction is, you know, for myself, it sounds terrible in a sense, but I prepared myself for the worst. And therefore, when it happened, that way I could be of better service to like my parents, and you know what I mean, just to kind of help people around me. By no means does that preparing help me for what happened. It definitely didn't. You know, it was still devastating. You know, getting the phone call, having to call you and let you know that I won't be into work the next day. You know, it was crazy. You know, right as soon as it happened, I got a phone call. I was out actually with Rita at a party. We had to get picked up. I got taken to the hospital. Saw my parents, and you know, it was very sad. It was terrible. But as soon as that happened, as soon as I got the phone call, like I instantly sobered up, and I went into like crisis mode almost. And it was pretty much, I had to try and relieve as much of the pressure of planning, you know, a memorial, funeral, that kind of stuff for my parents as possible, because I didn't want them to suffer any more. And that was at the expense of my coping and my dealing and my, you know, moving through the emotions of losing a loved one. So it was good and bad. I do have to say thank you to my mom's, you know, friends and family. They were amazing. They jumped and helped, and you know, I can't ever say enough about that, and I can never ever repay the debt that, you know, my friends, my mom's friends, our family friends have helped us with. But it was rough. It was hard. I felt a lot of guilt because, you know, there was a 7-year age difference. But I didn't see any signs. I couldn't help. It was one of those things where it's like I'd never really, you know, dealt with it before. So when my sister was, you know, lashing out, that kind of stuff, it was just, I just thought she was being a bitch, you know, and it's shitty, right? It's hard. So, you know, I was her big brother, right? So I was supposed to protect her, keep her safe. So I do feel like I failed and a lot, and I've had to kind of deal with that. And I know that kind of is heavy, and, you know, some people, you know, want to make sure that, you know, we did everything, my parents did everything we could to kind of get her on the right track.
Certainly did.
Sometimes
definitely did.
It's the person, right? Did. Like you know, you can have all the money in the world, you can have all the, you know, but if the person doesn't want to get healthy and sober, then there's really nothing else you can do, right?
Yeah, and I always said that too, that I don't think that she lost her battle. I think that the demons won the battle. You know what I mean? Because I know that she fought, and I know that you guys all fought for her. Mm-hmm. It's just, I always look at that she didn't lose, they won. You know what I mean? And the big difference, because there was no, like, it wasn't there. Like, she couldn't. The
amount of strength that she did have fighting for that amount of years, I will always commend her, and I can't wait to see her when, you know, God, you know, long time from now, and kind of just, you know, give her a hug and apologize for being such an asshole at times, because, you know, I'm 7 years older than you. I just didn't have time, you know what I mean? And that was like my biggest regret, is that, like, I was thinking for myself of a time, you know, when we're all in our 30s, we have our family, our kids, we're all getting it for Christmas, you know, that's what I was looking forward to. I just wanted to get through these years of her, you know, being a brat.
And I think that's where you, like, that's what, like, when we were talking before about where your guilt comes in, it's like, and again, you will feel guilty about that, but you don't have to, because it's not you didn't do anything wrong, because you assumed that she would get past it. If you, obviously hindsight's 2020, and you would go, if you could go back, you would, but the thing is, you were right in that moment to feel that way, because it was okay, because it's just like, oh, we're going to get past this. This is something, she's not going to be this way forever. And it's not wrong to feel like resentment, or, you know, oh God, just get better so we can get past this. There's nothing wrong with it. I think that's where you were. I always feel so bad, because it's like the guilt that I couldn't imagine.
I'm the oldest, right? It was like, you know, and it was,
dude, I feel that. I feel that in my heart. You know,
she was, you know, my little sister. I was supposed to protect her. You know, it drove me nuts. But anyone ever talk shit about her, you know, me and my brother would be the first one to be like,
100%. You can fight. That's because my husband has some siblings, right? So some of those things, like, they don't realize that you can fight with your sibling. Yes. I can sit there and say, my sister, you're the stupid, blah, blah, blah. And then you hear somebody else say, what'd you say? Yeah. You just said it. I can say it. You can't. Don't say nothing about my family. Like, it's just, you can hate them, but don't say anything about them.
Yeah. And then I have to shout out my mom here, because I think she was such a, like,
Couldn't imagine.
just such a trooper, such, not even a trooper, she was just a saint. She hid a lot from us too, you know, she protected Tori a lot.
And that's
to
protecting
a
you and your
fault.
brother too,
Yes,
right? Just
you
to
know, my
make
and
sure
my dad
everybody...
too, right? And that
Exactly.
was, and just her being so alone in that kind of time period and just kind of dealing with it all almost by herself, you know, it was crazy, and I could never imagine.
And that's one of the mental health parts of being a mom, where you sit there and you have to take on, like, I don't want the boys to think of Tori in a negative
they
way.
won't, you know, want to be any worse,
so I'm going to protect
head.
her. I'm not going to tell them everything that's going on, which puts you in the dark, but also shields her, and then she's the only one bearing that burden.
Yes.
And it you know, if that's a mom thing, and that, you know, you can't fault her for it because she's being a mom.
Yes, no,
not
of
only is
course.
she protecting
I just wish
Tori,
I could take some of that from
100%.
her, right? Because
it's what you want to do, is take it from them and say you didn't have to do that.
Yeah, and you know, and closer to the you know, last year and a bit got really bad, right? And it may sound terrible to say, but at some point it was gonna either be Tori or my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Because just the stress she was going through.
Yep.
You know, and unfortunately, I love Tori to death, but she wasn't. I don't think she was gonna get better. And, you know, my mom has 2 beautiful grandkids that she needs to spend time, you know what I mean? So we just, you know, it was shitty, but at the end of the day, I know Tori's safe. I know she's no longer in pain. She's not,
you guys can sleep at night.
Demons.
Exactly.
Yes,
you can sleep at night knowing that, you know, she's safe. You know where she is. You know everything. And is that might sound crass, but it's better than the alternative of where is she sleeping tonight, or what happened.
Yeah,
you know, where is she going to be? You the relief is okay to feel that you're relieved, that you know that she's safe, that you know where she's going to be, that you know that she's not hurting or sick or with somebody she shouldn't be or something like that. It's okay to feel that way, because it's the same way when people, you know, when their family has cancer, they're no longer in pain, they're no longer sick. You wish they were here, but you're relieved that they're no longer sick or suffering.
Like, for myself, it was like, you know, for the first little bit, I was like, oh my gosh, I'd do anything to get her back. You know, I see how much my mom and dad are struggling. But then it was like, how selfish is that of me? Because I wouldn't want to wish that life on anybody, right?
Yeah, so, you'd want her back in the way that is exactly is the ideal, right? But you're not going to get that.
That's not going to happen, right? And you know, and it was pretty rough. Yeah, I spent many nights, especially when my mom kind of not let me in, but kind of I could see what was going on, and I spent many nights. Maybe every 2 hours I'd be up checking outside my window here and where I live. Yeah. Just checking to see, you know, if her car was on the block, you know, if she was maybe sleeping in it, because she, you know, just worrying, right? And it was crazy. It was a crazy part of my life that, you know, was wild, and I don't wish that on anybody. And then of course she passed away. You know, the community came out and it was amazing. My mom and dad are they've been in Keswick their whole entire lives. I'm just saying Keswick now because
it's fine.
Yeah, it's whatever. And you know, everyone, you know, they've been here forever. They know a lot of people, and it was just amazing to see the support. My mom and dad still continue to get support to this day, and it's just amazing having those people in your life. So then you get to go through the year of the firsts, right? And no one really like. It's kind of, you don't really think about it, but it's like, you know, Thanksgiving. You're like, Thanksgiving, I don't care about Thanksgiving. But then when there's like one less seat at the table, you know what I mean? And then
especially when you're at a table that has, say, 6 and it's down to 5 or whatever, like it's very apparent.
You walk in 100%. And it just like it hits you like a truck, right? And you know, then I don't want to show emotion because I don't want to make my mom upset because she's already going through a hard time. You know what I mean? So it's just like a very, like, you just keep pushing that shit down and you just keep kind of, you know, trying to put on a smile, and you know, everything's good. You know, then you got Christmas is rough, and then you got her birthday, and you know, and just kind of
everything's rough.
You know, everything feels hard, like a first, and it's exhausting and mentally and physically draining. And then you're trying to, you know, go through all this, and then, you know, you're hanging out with your friends, you're trying to live your life, because unfortunately life doesn't stop, right? You think your life is going to stop because everything around you, like when it happened, like everything to me just froze, like, and I was like stuck in this like weird freaking, there was a movie that did that once, but you know, and
like in like a purgatory type
and
thing,
it's like, but the you know, the world moves on, like life, you know, so then you're trying to be, and, you know, go out with your friends and have fun, but then you don't want to talk about it because you don't want to bring
they don't know how to talk to you about it because they don't know how to react, and it becomes like a huge ordeal. Weird,
it's a
and
really
some people aren't as
thing.
good at not ignoring it, but not bringing it up and letting somebody come to them with it, and just, you know, because some people feel like, are you okay? And then you don't want that because
especially
you're just like,
at work
leave me alone.
too, right? Because someone like
working locally and having a local
because you wouldn't think about it. And how's everyone? And you're just like, well,
or even worse so, I'm sorry about your sister, and you're just like thinking in your head like, I appreciate the the gesture,
I
and I appreciate
it
the
so
comment,
much.
but also I'm at work,
yeah.
and it's very hard for me to sit. I'm already dealing with having to come back to work because, you know, I need to move on in life.
Yeah.
And also going, I'm really sorry about this, and dealing with how that, you know, works.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, kind of sort of as we segue into what we were talking, you know, how that affected your at work, and how I had to sit there, you know, it was getting to be
Pretty
the
bad.
behavior.
That's coming up here. Can
okay,
you just
I'm, I'm sorry.
Gosh.
I didn't mean,
You're trying to read this? Come on now. No, I'm just kidding.
well, I thought I took my sunglasses off since it's getting dark in here.
So we got through all the years of the firsts. As I said, my mom and dad were amazing. They're still together, which is again beating the odds in itself right there.
Agreed.
You know, and my dad is a very stoic person. I've talked about that before. And for him, you know, me and him are closer than ever. We text so much more, and it's terrible to say that something good came out of it, and I don't mean it like that, but you know,
everybody knows how you mean it. It's if
you know,
one person who listens to that comments that way,
I just, you know,
an idiot, so
you have to look on the bright side sometimes. Now the situation, you know, our family has gotten a lot closer. Me and my dad have gotten a lot closer, which is great. You know, I felt absolutely terrible for him because you don't even think about some things, right? So one time it was New Year's, my cousin's wedding. We all went. You're sitting there where the ceremony's going on, and you know, she's walking down the aisle, and I kind of just look over, and my dad, like, he doesn't cry, he doesn't do that stuff, and I just see him, and he's gonna kill me for telling this story, but whatever. And I just kind of looked at him, and he was very upset, and I said, "Are you okay?" And he just I got him up, and we left. We went out, and I think my mom or somebody went out to talk to him, and she came back, and she just said, "He'll never get to do that, you know, walk his daughter down the aisle." And I was like, losing my, I'm like, shit, we didn't even think about it, right?
I think that's, you know, the difference between, like, it's just weird, like when you like, you lost your sister, they lost their child, you know, I lost my mom, and it's just like, it's nobody's is worse, but the worst, and I will always say the worst thing is losing a child. I don't, you know, you can lose a relative and stuff like that, but losing a child is, to me, it's just, I couldn't imagine, and the grief and the way that people would speak to you and stuff like that, like, I couldn't imagine how that wouldn't be the biggest trigger. But it's, you know, that way people deal with it, and the way that people, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, so then, you know, it's just, you don't think about these things, right? And it's just so kind of like crazy. So, yeah, you just got to be patient with people who are grieving, and it takes time. So yeah, we finally get through the year of the firsts, and then I think my mom called me, because I live far, about an hour away from them, so sometimes it's not as easy as to get there and back and stuff like that. And, you know, my mom called me, and she says, "Hey, I got some news for you." And I'm like, "Oh, great. What now?" Like, you know what I mean? Just, well, our joke in our family is it's always bad luck, never good luck. So hit me with it, right? And she tells me she has cancer. And I'm like, "Oh, for fuck's sakes!" And it was just like, the cancer word is just a scary word in itself.
100%.
So like, my heart just dropped, and I just was like, literally, like, what? Like, this poor woman has already lost her daughter. She's been through so much. Now she's got to fucking deal with this shit. And it was just heartbreaking. And thank God they caught it early. She did chemo. She did, what's the other one? Chemo and radiation, sorry.
Yeah.
She did both of that. Absolutely smashed it out of the park.
Yeah, she did.
Thank God for my aunt who lives in town, because she was going just to a hospital close to us, and it would have been like an hour and a half drive. She had to go every day for her radiation, that kind of stuff. So, you know, I have a bunch of roommates. You know, I was going to have to, like, you know, I'll take time off work, I'll go home, I'll be the chauffeur, you know, but my aunt was like, "Nope, she'll stay here," and that's kind of that.
And this is what's happening,
and that's, you know, another thing, I'll never be able to thank her enough for what she's done. I'm sure my mom would do the exact thing for her if roles were reversed. It's just, it wasn't even a question to her, it was just, she'll stay here, and then, you know, that way I could, my days off or whatever, I could take her down, and when my aunt couldn't, it was awesome. And her and my mom have gotten so much closer because of it. But I am happy to say that old Karen is killing it right now.
Yeah,
she's you know, cancer free. It wasn't anywhere else, so we were just kind of, you know, again, you have to look for the good and the bad situation.
Well, if losing Tori didn't take her, cancer sure as hell wasn't.
Yeah, you know, and it's, as I said, this woman is literally, you know, life just throws everything in the kitchen sink at her, and she just goes, "Anything else?" Like, you know what I mean?
You know, at least it threw the, you know, the best two curveballs it could ever throw at her, back at her. You know what I mean? And she caught those with love.
So, you know, and I truly believe, you know, people are put in your life at a certain time. And my brother met his future wife, and she had a beautiful daughter, who again, you know, came into our life and was kind of this
at the exact right time.
Yeah, you know, and now my brother has another little girl,
sunshine.
and it's amazing because, you know, gives them something to not live for, like that sounds terrible, but it's just they want to be a part of their lives so bad, and it was amazing. And to truly,
well, my mom always said that being a grandparent was nothing like being a parent, and she's like, Lindsay, I love you, but I love my grandkids.
Yes.
I'm like, no, I get it, Mom. No, I don't think you do. And she'd always tell me how much she loved her grandkids. It was one of those things that you'll never know the love. You love your kids, but when you have grandkids, it's completely different. And I see that in grandparents, so I believe it 100%.
And you know, I'm sure she's listening, so a shout out to her, because she's just a warrior. Like, it's,
good job, Karen.
Yeah, exactly. She's.
Oh, I love Karen G too.
Something just to aspire to, you know, and it. I can't tell her enough how proud of her I am now. She's getting back into working after a couple years off. She's just, honestly, she's a machine, and I love her. I absolutely love her. So,
you're cute.
As you can tell, it was a rough couple years, and this was all I was still working.
Yeah.
And so it was, you know, again, customers coming in, you'd be having a great day, not even thinking about it, and then, you know, and by no means am I upset people are asking. I'm thankful for people caring, but it just was like, you're not thinking about it, and then and instantly your day changes because now you're thinking of it, and then, you know, all your emotions kind of come back up. So it's just, it's rough. So that's kind of when I wasn't really dealing with my emotions, to say the least. I know I never went to a doctor and was diagnosed, but I would definitely say that I was in a little bit of a depression, a lot of a depression. I was just surviving at that point. I wasn't even really living.
Going through the motions.
Yeah, it was just like, I just remember, again, almost like just me in the middle of the road and everything around me is just flying, and I'm just sitting there and I'm just stuck, more or less. That's when I started gaining weight. I just would wake up miserable. Like, I remember just like going into work, and like people would show up before we open, and I'm like, wow, these fucking idiots. Like, you know, and it's like, why are you getting upset about people like, you know? And it was just like, it was rough. As I said, I've always found myself to be an extrovert. You know, I loved going out, being with my friends, having fun, meeting new people. But I found myself becoming very closed off. I would kind of go back to those things that kind of helped me when I was in high school, right? I went back to gaming. I was doing a lot more gaming. I was, you know, not going out to see friends. I was just literally being by myself because I didn't A, know how to deal with my emotions, and B, again, I didn't want to be that guy who, you know, if I did have a few drinks and something came out, I didn't want to ruin the night and that kind of stuff. So I just felt, I'll just stay by myself in the basement.
100%. It's hard when something happens like that. You feel like you're that guy that's going to be the bummer or the drag, and people aren't going to know how to act around you, so they don't ask you and stuff like that. And you're just like, then you get depressed about almost like them not asking you. Then they ask you, and you go, I don't want to come out because I'm going to ruin your good time. So it's the double-edged sword, right? Exactly.
And it was
a circle.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So it was a rough time, and I started getting really anxious. I've never really had to deal with anxiety before. Like, I mean, I had those, you know, pre-work jitters when I started a new job, stuff like that. Like
the standard.
Yeah,
you know
anxious,
what I mean?
I never really had an issue with it. I've always been a little bit of an overthinker. I'm not going to deny that, because I overthink anything. But this was like almost to the 10th degree. Before, like, I remember I just go do something. I would just, you know, go out and, you know, for instance, let's say cut the grass. I know it sounds stupid, but for me now, I don't cut the grass on the weekend. Because in my head, I think, oh my gosh, well, people will see me. Maybe I'm not doing it right, or I'm doing it wrong, or God forbid, somebody will come over and talk to me. You know what I mean? And it shouldn't. I should just go cut the damn grass. It's getting long, right? You know, growing up, my mom and my dad and my grandparents, especially my nan, she was always like, you make sure you do your one good deed of the day. You know, whether it's holding a door for somebody, you know, helping someone if they've dropped stuff on the ground. So I always was like doing that, and then all of a sudden I found myself not like, in my head I'd be like, oh, well, do they want me to help them? Oh, like, what if they're mad that I helped them pick stuff up because they're embarrassed? Or especially if it was like a woman, like, oh, maybe they just think I'm hitting on her, and you know what I mean? And I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
And then you think about that, you're thinking about how stupid it was, then you feel stupider.
And then I'm just standing there like looking at someone, and they're like, are you good? And I'm like, oh yeah, sorry. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, and like,
sir, are you having a stroke?
Yeah, like, and when you haven't like dealt with that before, you're just kind of like, what is this? And, you know, driving.
Yeah, when it's new, you're like, oh no.
Yeah, like, so when, you know, driving, I always loved driving, no problems. And now if I leave the Keswick area, I'm like, no, thank you. No, it's not for me. And it's not like I'm a bad driver. I'm a very cautious driver, as my friends will all say, but I don't like it. And, you know, I've recently, as I drove to Newmarket, I drove to Markham recently, and I was a lot better. So that was a plus, but it's just these little things that just, you get anxious over anything, you know. anything. It's going to the grocery store. Oh my God, I don't want to go down that aisle because someone's there, so I need to go around. It was
and that's that's a big COVID thing. I think that's where it says like and if you have
this
even
is before COVID.
The thing is, but if even if it has a smell of like a little hint of anxiety, now you're thinking I'm going to go the wrong way, or there's going to be people up there, and I'm going to pick up that pop. Like that was a big one for me. Like if I picked up something that was too heavy, I'm going to pick up this can of pop, and it's going to open, and someone's going to roll out, and then they're going to know it was me,
and I'm going to pick up melt in the floor.
Well, the thing is, and that was a big one for Aaron. He would sit there and literally like he's gotten it's crazy how much better he used to be, but he would go shopping, grab a thing of glasses that we need at the house, and he would walk to the cash and put it down and then leave, and I'd have to go back and get it because he would sit there in his head go, I'm going to drop this. It's going to break. Everyone's going to see me and then think, and I can't have that. So I left. And it's crazy that he's just sort of recognized it and sort of kind of healed it on his own. And it's great because he didn't realize that it was a problem. And then now he's gone, no one's going to laugh at you. No one's looking at you. No one cares that you're carrying those glasses and no one is thinking about it. It's okay. And then he goes, I'm just gonna hold it from the bottom. You know what I mean?
There you go. Yeah. And it's just like,
don't hold it by those handles.
Like going to the gas station. Oh my gosh, there's 4 cars. I can't go to the last. It's crazy, right?
Yeah. If I don't pull up, they're gonna get me.
Overthinking was like on a treadmill, I would be skinny as fuck.
Because let me burn
tell
calories.
you, I would just be good to go. And it's just, and I never was like that, and it's only kind of like recently in these last couple of years that it's kind of happened, and I'm just like, holy usually
age.
Is that as you get older you get more anxious, or I thought it would be the other way. You're younger, you're anxious, you grow out of it, but I've done a complete reversal.
But I think it's some. I think you've had the trigger of your sister dying and then pushing it down because like the thing is, I did the same thing when my mom died. You're the oldest, so you got to sit there and alleviate the pressure of, I don't want my sister or my brother to deal with anything because they're already sad. I don't want my dad to deal with anything because he's already going through the worst thing that he's ever going to go through outside losing us. And he's lost his best friend. And you go, I have to take that on because they're already the saddest and I'm the oldest, and it's my job as the oldest to take on the burden of dealing with everything. And then that can sit there and you do that for a long time, and then you go, when does that stop?
Yeah, when do I take care of myself, right?
And then, sometimes by the time you get to you've done some damage that you need to now figure out how to repair.
Yes. Yeah. And that's, as I said, my insecurities were just literally eating me alive, but I wasn't doing anything to fix it. I just was, again, just stuck in this pendulum of sadness, which sounds dramatic, but it was pretty brutal. And what I learned was when you don't deal with these kinds of things, they bleed over in other aspects of your life. And if you're someone who's struggling and you don't think that, I hate to break it to you, but it definitely does. I found as I was miserable all the time. I was just
and I think the big thing is that people think they're hiding it better than they are, and it's just like you're not being as strong as you think, and it's obvious, and it's okay that it's obvious, and maybe if you're dealing with it, go talk to somebody, or if you've got an EAP at work or something, use it because there's no shame in doing it, and B, you're not as tough and you're not as strong as you think you are, and it's okay to not be that way, and it's okay that other people are noticing. They're not staring at you because they're rude. They're staring at you because they care.
Yes, exactly.
They're bringing it up because they care.
I hated work. I hated dealing with customers.
You sure did.
And I would just be snappy, and like I've always been a little bit of a sassy fellow, but this was like to a bad degree. I was no longer. I was almost like looking for altercations with customers like that, and again, it just wasn't okay. And especially, as I said, around my friends, I'd get drunk and I'd get mean, and like, not that I had a streak of being mean, like I'd get to a point where like I'd say a joke that might have been a little bit offside, like, and you know what I mean, and it apologized. No one ever kind of took it personally. We were all drinking, having fun, but now I've kind of felt like I was getting to a point where it wasn't fun, and I was putting my friends in an awkward situation, and that's not fair to them, like, and so I did kind of stop drinking. I'm more or less scared these days because obviously addiction runs in the family, and it's something that I always will, probably for the rest of my life, monitor a lot more closely because I don't want to be that person. You know what I mean? I don't want to be someone who gets drunk and lashes out and takes out their frustrations on people who are closest to me, who have been supporting me. So it was just a very frustrating part of my life. I just felt literally stuck, and I felt very much alone. So that's when the hero of the story, Lindsay, rides in on her chariot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because you're the one, as I said, you're the one that pulled me aside and said, look, you're being a real piece of shit.
And that was it. That's what's great about being in the workplace and where I can speak to you candidly as a friend, and not just necessarily as the manager. But when I sit there and had to sit there and go, okay, damn, my friend is behaving like a shitty employee.
Yeah.
So it needs to sit there and be rectified because I can't have him lashing out at customers, more particularly at other employees.
Yeah.
And and at myself because of things, and the excuse of your sister dying was one, like, it's as terrible as it is. If you need to deal, then go home and deal.
Yeah.
But you can't keep bringing it to work and using it as an excuse to treat people poorly and to, what I always make the joke with Dan is, you have undiagnosed mental health issues that need to be addressed.
Absolutely.
And making the kind of we need to talk about this because I need to know whether or not you need more time or what we can do to help you go back to being, or even growing. And, either Dan, the great customer service employee who was great to work with, and or how to move on to be, how can we get to this Dan to, where he's going to grow and be back to an employee that is okay to be at work and not, damage the reputation of the business or, damage his permanent work relationships.
And the worst part is
people.
and
he didn't know he was doing it.
No, yeah.
He literally didn't know he was doing it. And some people, I don't know, I have a resting bitch face, or I don't know I'm talking to people that way. He just legitimately didn't realize how bad it was. And, the other staff were like, it's getting bad, and I can only look away for so long before I have to say, hey man, we have to let's go somewhere else.
Work was we're all so close, we all worked together for so long, is that I would try and, like, I guess, be good, quotations, like, around my friends, and then this was like my vent was work, and I'm like, that's not fair to you guys. The worst part is, though, like, people who grieve, they get 3 bereavement days, thank God.
You don't get enough paid time off at any job, and
like, you can't take time off, right, to do your healing.
And work was very good when it came to like, we were like, I think it's most places don't do what and I was really like,
for the week, so I can get
I was really glad that work kind of said, like, tell me to take the time.
My vacation days.
Exactly. You came back a little bit earlier than you thought you were ready, and I think that was a mistake. Hindsight again, but you took advantage of a couple of the programs that we have, because I was struggling, and the thing is, more recently, I before COVID type thing, I was really I was in a down place, and I didn't know what I could do wrong. I felt like a shitty wife, a shitty mom, a shitty boss. Like, I just felt like I was kind of getting it at all angles, like, and it wasn't just that I was, it was just I get yelled at work for doing something that was worthy, not yelled at, but like talked to by my employees, like, oh, you're doing this, and I was like, yeah, I am doing that, but then get defensive about it when really you shouldn't have been. And at home, not doing certain things or whatever like that. I was like, well, you can't just come home and sit down and not do anything, and like, you have a home to run, like, you're a mother now, you can't just do these things. And I just felt shitty. I felt like a shitty mom. I felt like you feel like a shitty person. I'm not a shitty person, and I knew that. And I said, I need to go tell somebody that A, doesn't know me, B, has no absolutely preconceived notions about me, and C, has some sort of medical background that can sit there and tell me what,
a professional,
not tell me what I want to hear exactly, but tell me what I need to hear and what is the accurate thing to do. And I went, I think 5 times ish, and and it was great, and I felt 100 times better when I left. And it may not sound like, oh, you didn't go for years, but it was enough for me to sit there, and the ideas, and I was like, I felt amazing when I left. I'm like, you know what? I'm so glad I went. And that's why when I said to you, like, there's no shame in it. It's not like laying on a couch in therapy talking about, where on the doll did this, what I mean? Like, weird things that you're like, what the hell is this? It was so...
Look at this picture. Tell me what it makes you feel.
Exactly. And you feel like you see too many movies that make psychiatrists look like they're crazy people, or that you're crazy if you go and talk to one. And I didn't feel that way at all. Amazing. I just felt relief in letting it out and just going, oh, okay, it's okay. She's not going to judge me at all. She knows what she's talking about. So, and
then you recommended that you strongly recommended that I took advantage of it, which was great. And for me, seeing somebody like yourself who is very strong and somebody I look up to, I was like, you know what, if she can do it, I can definitely do it too. I need to do it. It wasn't more or less a choice at this point. I needed to do something, because if I kind of kept
what
on
you were
this
doing
way,
wasn't working.
Yeah, I was either going to lose my job, lose my friend. It was just kind of a recipe for disaster. So I by no means am religious in any means. I do believe that there's a higher power up there. But I remember I booked my first appointment. I remember I was at home in the basement, booked it, and to talk to a therapist. That's if you didn't, to talk to a therapist. And so I booked my appointment, and then I think I messaged you, and I just said, "Oh, by the way, this is the date that I have, and this is the time." And you're like, "No way, that is the exact. I have a appointment the same day for someone else." Yeah. And by the grace of God, let's just say, I don't think I would have went if that didn't happen, because you picked me up and you took me and you said, we're going, right? Yep. And it was, and I would have talked myself out of it, right? I would have. Yeah,
you would have come with some excuse that you couldn't go and everything like that. And it was just, I think going with somebody, like, you feel like, well, I'll have somebody, like, even if it's just a crutch, like, I have somebody there to back me up. And then you go, then you're like, and then that, I honestly, the weight off your chest, I think even after the first one was just, I feel 1,000 times better than I ever could have. And it was the best thing I've ever done for myself.
Yes. And that's exactly where I was going. As I said, it was probably the best decision of my life. Going to talk to someone who you mentioned, who doesn't care. They're just literally there to listen. It's not a friend who's going to, again, tell you what you want to hear. It's just somebody who is literally, their job is
or tell you their version of what they think is the truth.
Yes.
And go, oh, I saw online or I read on Facebook or something. Like, have you tried taking St. John's wort or some sort, like it? They're
trying to help, of course.
She's trained in something, and it makes you feel better that they go, this is what I think you should do. Like, and the best thing she ever told me, and I'm going to tell this to everybody, and it was, don't worry about things you can't control. And it was like, I never even thought about it. It's like, can you control that? Can you control that? Well, no. Then why are you worried about it?
Yep.
And it was just sort of thinking like, almost like a mantra. Okay, the customer's coming in. Like, can you control what they're going to do? Can you control their behavior? No. Then don't worry about it. And I was like, oh my God,
there you go.
Thank you.
That weight is lifted, as you
said. And it's as simple as that is, you don't think about it because you're like, oh, my son's going to do this, or my daughter's going to do that, or my husband's going to do that, or my, at work, it's going to be bad. Can you worry about it?
No.
Can you control that? No. Okay. All you can do is control how you handle it. And I'm like,
and it was amazing. There was no judgment. I saw a lovely lady. I just felt a lot more comfortable talking to a lady. You get to choose, which is great. They, in person, over the phone. I think that you can even do like text now.
I think in person, that was my option as well.
It was
really good. Yeah.
There was zero judgment. I was able to talk about all my emotions, and it sounds kind of terrible, but whatever. Almost to be validated in the sense that she just said, yeah, you've had a fucking rough couple of years, and it's okay to feel this way. And I was just like, oh, well, thanks. Like, you know what I mean? It was just, It was amazing. I talked about everything. I mean, there were tears, there was laugh, but again, I just felt safe talking to her. And I know that's such a cliche. Oh, you need your safe space, but it was amazing. And as you mentioned, she gave me tools that I could use to help control my emotions, make better choices. Things like, oh, I'm never going to, one of the big things that because we worked on wanting to get fit, which the global pandemic kind of messed that up. But it'd be like, okay, well, stop selling yourself. You're gonna not eat out again, because that's not gonna happen. You're gonna have to eat it at some point in your life again. So now you're just setting yourself up to fail. So why don't you, small blocks, as you said. That's what she always would tell me. Small blocks, Dan. Small blocks. And I'm like, absolutely right. Okay, I'm not going to the gym. She's like, just walk into the gym. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, just walk in. And then just leave. She's like, yeah, then just leave. You got to the gym, you didn't do anything, but you got there the next day. Okay. And then you ride the bike or you're on the treadmill for, 15, 20 minutes, and it's just each day you get better and better and better. So it honestly was one of the best decisions of my life. Again, I can never thank you enough for pushing me to go there. And it was life-changing for me at the time, because I just felt so much better, and I was able to deal with these emotions that I've kind of been just stuffing down for a long time, and not wanting to, be that person. Right. So it was amazing. Definitely. I would recommend it if you are thinking about it. Definitely go. You will have, I don't think you'll have any regrets. She wasn't like, oh, I'm going to prescribe you this, I'm going to prescribe you that. It was nothing like that.
Didn't write anything down. No, didn't make you feel like, what are you writing down? What are you doing? Like, it was just somebody to listen.
She showed me the notes, right? Yeah. It was just more or less for her. So the next, she would know where we left off, and it was great. And I highly recommend everybody to do this. It wasn't like people knew you were going in to see a therapist. You just went up to the second floor and went in, and it was great. And obviously COVID has been an absolute nightmare, and mental health has kind of just peaked at this point. But I had these tools that I learned that kind of helped me. I mean, by no means did I get through the pandemic unscathed. I do think that there was issues with friends and all that kind of stuff but I worked through them, and now we're better than ever, 100%. Right?
I think that if I hadn't gone and talked to her, I wouldn't have been able to cope with the pandemic the way that I did. Yeah. And I feel confident in saying that I also feel like I'm able to help my family deal with theirs better, and that I can deal with theirs myself better. Like, not only help them deal with theirs better, but I can deal with the way that I deal with it better too. Like, I wasn't like taking it so personally, and remember, like, they're not in control, and it's not you.
Yeah,
it's okay. Let them like say whatever they want. Like, if they have a lash out or whatever, it's okay.
Yep.
Because they don't mean it. And if they don't say sorry, it's okay too, because they're sorry. Like, they don't mean that, and it feels great to go, oh my God, they hate me, blah, blah, blah. You're a bad mom. No, I'm not. No. She's just having a bad day. Yep. He's having a bad day. They're having a bad day. And it's okay. It's just amazing to
finally feel worth, my self-worth was like actually something, you know what I mean? I always felt I was a terrible friend, a terrible son, a terrible employee, you know what I mean? And it was just like to be like validated in the sense that how I needed to be, and kind of just someone, to say, yeah, you've had a fucking rough go.
Exactly.
And you're still here. Like,
it was shitty. It was shitty.
Yeah.
It was like, she's in a bad place. Move past it.
Yep.
Don't say that to me. it's okay to be shitty. It's okay to feel shitty about it. It's a shitty thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And once, as I said, I don't think I'd get much out of like a phone session or like a emails, that kind of stuff. So once, obviously, us moving into stage 3, hopefully we'll be able to do in-person sessions again. I will definitely go back just to kind of decompress everything from the last 2 years of this pandemic.
They'll probably be busy.
yeah, exactly, right? Maybe they'll do like 2-for-1 sessions. We'll just go, okay, now my turn.
Are you together? No, we're just mentally together. Mentally, we're mentally crazy together.
Yes, it's what's up. We work together. So as I said, well, thanks for hanging out for that whole kind of rehashing of the last couple of years. And as I said, I think
we've had a rough go.
Yeah.
I think we both had some, a trauma that, you'll never get over, and it's just how you deal with it. And I think that's what people need to understand. It's you'll never get over those things.
You just
it's
grow
how
as a
you
person.
deal with them. That's the thing. And people need to, time heals everything. It doesn't heal anything. It just, you learn to adapt. And I think that's all it is that how you learn to adapt to deal with those things that makes a difference. And that's where I found it. You don't have to be so strong. It's okay to be weak. It's okay to have your moment.
Okay, yeah.
It's okay to have your shower cries.
Hell yeah.
Bring your beer in there, shower cry, shower beers.
Best place to cry is as Brian tells me, right?
Yep.
So I do it all the time. Don't
be
worry.
loud, cry, and it's okay. It's nothing against anybody. And if you see somebody doing it, let them.
Yep.
They need a minute.
Just toss them another drink, call them a day.
Exactly.
So yeah, as obviously you may have discovered, it's been a little bit of a rough 4 years. But again, most of I didn't react as well as I should have. I mean, hindsight's 2020, right? I can sit here and tell you that I should have done so much different. But again, what has happened has got me to the point where I am now, and I'm honestly truly thankful for that. I got comfortable and I got scared, very scared of change. And those are I think those are the two worst things to be, because as Mike the Situation says on his t-shirts, like last episode, nothing changes if nothing changes. So if I'm not going to put the effort in, then nothing's going to change. And I'm just expecting the world to change or my life to change, and that's not going to happen. You have to put the effort in. So if there's anything that I could maybe recommend to people if they are listening and they are going through some stuff, especially when it comes to grief is a fickle beast. No two people grieve the same. You can read all the books you want, you can do all the steps you want. Unfortunately, there's just no good way to grieve or to help somebody besides them just letting them go through the process themselves, being supportive, being there for them. And it will take time, and unfortunately, you got to just be patient with them.
I think that's the biggest one is patience. It's patience just if you see a friend or a family member and they're acting differently, and they're it's okay to ask.
Yep.
If you ask, then they don't maybe feel it's as taboo, especially if you don't ask in a way that seems condemning or seems judgmental, like what's wrong with you, as opposed to, man, something going on, like, do you want to talk? Because it's okay, like we can talk. If you don't want to, I get it, but I'm here for you to give them that. I think a big thing too, because obviously you have a lot of people who are always asking, is everything okay? Is everything okay? That does get a little tiresome, I will say. Mm-hmm. So, obviously throw it out there the first couple times, and if you find the person is just not being very receptive of it, I would just definitely recommend just maybe sending them a text or something like that, and just say, look, I understand you're going through a lot. I want to be a good friend to you, so when you're ready, I'm here, and please you take advantage of that, and when you are ready to go, that way you've put yourself out there, and then the ball's in their court. And you know what, sometimes they might not take advantage of it, and there's nothing you can do about that, but you've done your part. And then again, like for me, you threw the ball in my court, and then I ran with it, right? Yep. So that's what we have to kind of do, is you're not going to be able to fix everybody yourself. You have to kind of put some of the onus on them, and just being there and being available, I think is all. Well, 100%. And I think that I would have taken you the same way as if obviously if I wasn't your manager, it might have been differently, but it was the way that I was looking at it, like, mm-hmm. I can't let my friend deal with this anymore, because this isn't healthy. How he wants to be, and I know that this is not who you wanted to be.
Especially going from someone who was so...
Well, that's what I mean. Like, it was just having somebody who enjoyed customer service, and somebody who was really good at it, to being somebody who was like, I understood, like, oh my God, he's going through something, but we have to sit there and go, okay, I'm going to be, if I have to be hard, and go, dude, I'm going to recommend you do this because I did it, and I was vulnerable with you saying, I've done this, and it was the best thing I've done for myself.
Yeah.
And I think that you would benefit from it, and I would really like you to go and do this, and let's just, see if we can do that. Is that something you're willing to do? And you're not willing to do it the first time, but at least I can sit there and go, this is what's available for you. This is what we're going to do. Please take advantage of it, because I think that you would benefit from it. And then, it takes a little bit of time, and you're like, let's do it. And then, doing it together, I'm like, therapy day.
Yeah, exactly. and it was great. And again,
it's worked. And I will always give you props. Like I said last time I was here, I will always give props on the man that you were then. to the man that you are now is so drastically different, and it's nice to have this Dan back and
Thank you.
It's awesome. I don't think you get enough praise for how
so
strong
sweet.
you've been, and I don't think that you get enough props. I don't know how your friends mention it, but they see you maybe differently than I do, and I just wanted to say how proud I am of you and the man that you've become, because you went through something that was terrible in a very terrible way, and I think that not a lot of people could come back from it, and I think
thank you. I appreciate it. As I said, that's a perfect segue into being again so thankful for my friends and my family who have put up with me and who have literally kind of stuck around and who are still here. And again, I'm, as much as I'm doing this for myself, I'm doing this because I want to be a better person, and I want to be a better friend again. I want to be a better son and brother and uncle and that kind of stuff. So that's
why I did it too.
Yeah.
I want to be the best. That's why I told my husband, I said, I'm not doing it because I don't think that because it made him feel bad.
Yeah.
And I said, it's not about you. I said, I want to be the best wife I can be. I want to be the best mother I can be. I want to be the best boss I can be. I want to be the best friend I can be. I want to be the best aunt. Like, it's like, you want to be the best version of yourself. Yes. And it's not you. I need this.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. It's not you. I need it. You know what I mean? And I think doing something for yourself is the best thing you can do.
Yeah. And as I said, now kind of, again, with those things kind of that are put in your place, coincidences, us going on the same day, that first day, I was getting, pretty, low again with the pandemic kind of not ending. And then, this opportunity arises where we're doing the 2 shifts and that gave me an opportunity to really focus on, being able to work out, being able to get into a routine of
and doing this.
Yes. And doing this. Right. And that's what I said. I feel like I have a purpose now. I'm on this journey now to be the best version of myself. Again, I want to be the best friend, son, uncle I can be. And I just want to make, everyone proud. And I am just so thankful that I have this opportunity. And if anyone is kind of struggling, I just want to say, like, you can do it. You're strong enough. The biggest thing is, if you are kind of trying to do it yourself, get a routine going. I think a routine is the biggest and best thing you can do when you have, as I listen to a lot of Jordan Peterson, and he was the one who said, you need a purpose in your life. And I think that's kind of where the whole idea to do this was, is I need to do some sort of something to put my energy into, and then to start a routine to make sure you're getting up around the same time every day, get yourself kind of going. And then you'll find that your mind isn't wandering as much and that kind of stuff. So again, thank you all for listening. It's been a real one. I did say that when I started this, I wanted to be as upfront and honest
Candid.
with everyone about what I'm going through and that kind of stuff. So I know this isn't as fun as the other episodes, but I feel like it's necessary to kind of see where
we can't always be hilarious.
Yes, I know.
Like,
so
oh
true.
My God,
so
never
true.
get jealous.
Yeah, exactly. So I do hope that if someone listens and this kind of helps them to make that decision to maybe go talk to someone or make that first step, then I will be so thrilled, so happy.
Ask at your work if you have something, because a lot of employees don't realize that their employee, they have they have that perk that you can call somebody and it doesn't cost you anything, or talking to your doctor, or something where you can there's so many free avenues,
so many free resources now, and that's the
and
best
to take
thing.
Advantage of them if you feel like you need to, because
Absolutely.
it's 100% anonymous, and if you're feeling like you don't want to, then nobody will know.
Yeah, and just like a reiteration, we're not professionals in any means. You can always follow me at the lazy.pieceofsht Instagram page. If you want to send a DM, I'm not going to be giving any advice. I'd be more than happy to listen. And then maybe, if that helps you get that off your chest, I'd be more than happy to do that. But again, I'm not going to be, I'm not a professional in any of the sense. Or if you want to send an email, lazypieceofsh.t@gmail.com. You can always send it there too. Again, nothing will ever be made public. That's not what I'm about. But at the end of the day, we just want to hopefully get everyone better, but get everyone better in the sense that,
I think it's a good thing, because you and I are both very similar in the sense that we're very happy on the outside sometimes, and we don't look like somebody who would sit there and have that issue or have an issue at all. Like, look at, like, what do you have to be sad about? Yeah. And then you give them the big old finger. But it's like, everybody has something to be sad about sometimes. And sometimes when you give off that happy persona,
yes, those people, are the ones you got to worry
exactly.
about.
So it's like, Robin Williams or something like that, who's struggled severely, right? So I think that just because you're happy on the outside, I think it's nice to be candid when you see two people like us who are very happy, very outgoing, very everything, and we were struggling at some point, or still are, or whatever. It's, not everybody's got something going on, and maybe you don't know about it. And if you can sit there and see somebody who's as strong on the outside, go, oh, if their problem, oh my God, if she said it helped her, then I'm going to go do that. And if he said it helped me, I'm going to go do that. Then
at the end of the day,
win.
It's a win. We just, you'll find someone, you'll be so much better. You'll find, you know, an inner peace. And then, you know, I know that sounds pretty like hippy dippy, but you know, it is true though. Right. And as I said, I personally have never been happier as I am right now. You know, yeah, I'm not really smashing my, you know, my fitness goals, but I'm working towards it. And as I said, I have a purpose, and I think that's kind of, you know, and the purpose not only is this podcast, but it's, you know, to get better, so that way I can, you know, be a better person. So, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening.
Always.
Thanks for being here, Lyns. I honestly, you were unfortunately a last minute call up today, but I honestly, now that I
wore
think about
plaid
it,
to be
yeah,
Rita-esque.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You're so sweet.
That's why I kept my glasses on. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
to be more Rita-esque, and
love
you know
that.
what?
She's gonna love that. I'll let her know.
You're
for
welcome,
sure.
Rita.
But no, as I said, I think you were the perfect person to be here, because you were kind of the person who jumped in and you know and said, "Yo, you got to get your shit together." And that's just, you know, we've known each other for so long, and
I think that I could say that to you, and it wasn't, you knew that it was coming from a place of love again, because it's like, it's very brother sisterly, and it's just like, if I can sit there and say, dude, let's get this going. Like, let's see what we can do.
Yep, absolutely. So, other than that, as I said, if you know, follow on Instagram, send an email, look for any resources if you do need to take advantage of them. Other than that, I'm always here to send a DM to.
Yeah, my Instagram's not that cool.
Yeah, no, she's trash.
If you want to see my cat.
Yeah, oh god.
I have cats, but if you want to see my one cat, it's a pretty cool place to go.
But other than that, as I said, it was a little bit more of a heavy episode this week, a little bit longer too. Break it up if you want to. If it is a little bit too heavy, listen a little bit here, listen a little bit there. At the end of the day, I hope that the message resonates with you. And at the end of the day, I keep saying at the end of the day, just want everyone to be happy, living their best lives. So, you know, a lot of Jersey Shore quotes here, unfortunately.
More Jersey Shore quotes than I thought there would be, if I'm being honest, but
it is what it is. Other than that, we'll see you next week. I promise next week's episode we'll, you know, bounce back a little bit with some funny stuff.
Next time I'm on, it won't be so heavy.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be hilarious again.
But other than that, have a wonderful day. Enjoy your weekend, and stay wild, my friends. Bye.
Bye.